A woman who had disappeared for 2 years was found alive in the water. Fishermen near Puerto Colombia rescued her on September 26, 2020. The fishermen first thought she was a floating piece of wood far from shore, but then they saw her waving her arms, and they realized she was indeed a person. Fisherman Rolando Visbal shouted to the woman who was floating in a life ring in both Spanish and English. However, she was too cold to answer him. When they got to the beach, Rolando got help from locals. Some gave the woman water and tried to help her drink, while others held her head up to keep her awake. Rolando kept asking her name, hoping she would answer, but she couldn't. The people with Rolando tried to get an ambulance but were denied. Finally, the rescue team chose to put the woman in the back of a car and take her to the closest hospital. Upon reaching the hospital, the woman was quickly taken in and was treated for hypothermia and exhaustion. After the doctors checked her over and told her she would recover, she spoke for the first time since her rescue. When asked to explain, Angelica Gaitan, at 46 years old, had been out of touch with her family for 2 years when fishermen found her. Angelica said she had been in an abusive marriage for 20 years. Before they had their first child, her husband had never been physically violent, although he sometimes showed toxic behavior. But when she was pregnant with their first child, she often had to deal with her husband's anger. She said that her husband didn't plan to change his behavior. As their marriage went on, he did everything he could to cut her off from friends and family. He even controlled her to the extent of not allowing her to use the bathroom inside, forcing her to go outside in the garden. When she found out she was pregnant with their second child, Angelica hoped that her husband's terrible actions would once and for all, but Angelica was stuck in a cycle she saw no escape from. She also felt she couldn't leave because her daughters depended on her for survival. Angelica reported her husband several times during their marriage, but each time she did, the police would only take him away for a day, and when he came back, he was angrier than before. Finally, in September 2018, Angelica Gaitan felt she had enough. When her husband's aggression was extreme, she knew he would take her life just by looking into his empty eyes. Angelica didn't want to die, especially not in that way. She kept the details to herself during interviews with the media, but she shared that she had found a way to escape from the situation she was in. Angelica then ran to Barranquilla, hoping to find a safe place. After arriving, Angelica found herself homeless for about 6 months, surviving with very little money and hardly any support. In a stroke of bad luck and barely anything to sustain herself, Angelica sought assistance from a local women's shelter in Barranquilla. There, she received accommodation, food, and peers for approximately 18 months, hoping her husband wouldn't find her. But Angelica was bullied there. She recounted incidents where others would turn off her water while she was showering or mix soap into her drinks. Her time at the women's shelter in Barranquilla came to an unexpected end in late September 2020 for reasons that are not currently known. Numerous speculations have been floating around about why she abruptly left the center, but Angelica has only confirmed one. She revealed in a post-recovery interview in Puerto Colombia that she felt compelled to depart from the refuge due to her husband's departure from Bogotá, which made it safer for her to go back home. However, the idea that her husband's absence from Bogotá made things safer was not as convincing as the staff at the women's center had suggested. Once again, Angelica found herself in a situation that needed a clear path. Enduring such tough times plunged her into depression. Angelica said, "I didn't want to live anymore. A woman gave me some money for a bus fare, and I went straight to the sea." I shared, "I had no support from anywhere, not even from my family, because this man had isolated me from everyone I knew. That's why I didn't want to keep living. I then made up my mind to end my life and went to the beach. I told the press, there by the sea all alone, I decided to jump in and let the water take me away. I hoped that it would all end soon," she added. After being saved, I, who don't recall what happened while I was in the water, told RCN Radio Barranquilla, "I feel like I've been given a second chance at life thanks to God. If I had had any kind of help or a chance, I wouldn't have tried to end my life. Now, I'm very thankful because God has given me a new chance to keep going." After her rescue, Angelica was reunited with her family, her daughter Alejandra Castiblanco, who was astonished to reconnect with her mother after being missing for 2 years. Alejandra recalled that the last time she had heard from Angelica was in 2018, just before her mother left for Ecuador with her uncle. Angelica's explanation for her disappearance years ago surprised Alejandra, and her reaction was not what the authorities had anticipated. Both Alejandra and her sister denied their mother's story. The local authorities were taken aback by such claims, especially after witnessing the 46-year-old woman revealing the terrifying times of her life. Alejandra shared with the police that her mother had been battling mental health issues for a long time and also suffered from a cardiac condition that significantly impacted her health. Alejandra described her mother as someone who struggled with severe panic attacks, and an almost phobic reaction to luxury cars. Just the sight of an expensive car could trigger Angelica into a state of distress, revealing her deep-seated fears of abduction or harm. A severe heart attack, according to reports, marked the beginning of Angelica's mental health condition. Paula Castiblanco, Angelica's other daughter, mentioned these concerns during an interview with the Colombian News. She speculated that during the time her mother was missing, Angelica might have experienced events that led to psychological trauma. Contrary to the narrative of fleeing from her father, Alejandra suggested that her mother had left their home one day without warning. The circumstances surrounding Angelica Gaitan's initial disappearance in 2018 remain a mystery.